Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sagebrush Happy Hour Journal entry for June 2nd, 2025. So I'm inside here, and it's been threatening to rain or just sprinkling outside on and off all day. I was really hoping that we'd get a little bit more rain than this, but we'll see what happens over the next 3 days. We're supposed to be kind of rainy over the next 3 days, but it's kind of that monsoony kind of weather where we do get some sun in the morning and then rain in the afternoon. And so hopefully we'll get a little bit more rain. At least I'm hoping for at least the 200 gallons that the new hot tub is going to take. But I'm sure that we'll probably get more than that. So yesterday was Sunday the 1st, and I didn't do a journal entry because I generally publish my podcast, my Astro podcast, which is called the Deep Sage 9 podcast. And you can search that on YouTube or Apple iTunes or Apple Podcast, as it were. And one of the things that was really extraordinary was I knew that there was a big what's called a coronal mass ejection from the sun that was due to arrive yesterday and tomorrow, yesterday evening. But I'd actually put out a time lapse on Saturday night and captured a pretty good video of the Aurora Borealis on Sunday morning. And I was expecting to see a lot bigger aurora on Sunday evening, and so I put out all my equipment there to capture that, and it just clouded over for most of the night, and there was just a short gap early in the morning and a little bit of aurora, but it was a little bit disappointing. But hunting for aurora and meteors is kind of like fishing, even though you might not always catch the fish, sometimes the process is just worthwhile in itself. And today, I decided to look for the chemicals for the hot tub. And so I went into town and I just checked real quick to see if they had that at the hardware store, and hope that it might be a little bit cheaper than going to the spa store. And so the startup chemicals for the hot tub, you could buy these kits, and there's about $100 on Amazon. And so if I'd gone through Amazon and ordered it for $100 plus tax, and it wouldn't have been delivered till next Tuesday. Unlike the city out here, our Amazon takes a little while. I guess and whenever I'm in Denver, it just astounds me that you can order something and it will be there later that afternoon. But anyway, and so we thought about having Annie, my wife, pick up chemicals up there in Denver and bring them down when she comes down. And that would have been like $110 for the same pack. But then I went over to the spa store, and they had the same pack, but only for chlorine, not bromine, which is my preferred sanitizer. And it was $138, and he said, well, I'll substitute bromine. And I looked in the pack, and I said, well, let's look at the individual items in there and see if I can, by buying the individual items, I can save some money. So anyway, I bought bromine pH up and down, and clarifier, and test strips for the new hot tub. And so that purchase was $96. And so that was one of the Other additional and potentially ongoing cost of having the hot tub. And then kind of the final piece of the puzzle before we can actually get this thing up and running is going to be the electrical situation. And so at least temporarily, I can run it off of an extension cord. But it's not the ideal solution. And so we'll try that initially, and then I think we're going to have to hire an electrician to come out and run a proper circuit out to the hot tub. And so the hot tub is convertible between 120 volts and 240 volts. And at 120 volts, it draws about 15 amps, which is normal kind of a household circuit. And they recommend a 20 amp breaker. And so in the short term or near term, we'll run that as a 120 volt system. And so then it uses a 1,000-watt heater, which takes a little bit longer to heat the water, but it's using less electricity for a longer period of time. And so that ends up being actually less efficient. And if you go with the 240 volt, it's got a 4,000-watt heater, so it can heat the water very quickly, but it uses a lot of current and a lot of power. And that's currently beyond the capacity of our inverter. We can generate that much electricity, we can store that much electricity, but we can't convert that much of electricity from low voltage to high voltage for household use. So that's kind of what's happening on the mesa and in the atmosphere too. Cheers, everybody.